大家好，欢迎收看今天的 ACM 专访节目，我是特邀主持人 Julie 杨。今天是2018年9月22号，我们离11月美国的大选只有46天的时间了。那么在我们所住的区域Montgomery County， 我们的选情并不明朗。现在我们有3位候选人竞争郡长职位，他们是民主党 Mark Elric、Republican 共和党 Robin Ficker 和以独立身份参选的竞选者 Nancy Floreen。蒙传媒 ACM 为了帮助广大观众更好地投上自己的一票，特邀独立参选者 Nancy Floreen 来我们接受我们的采访。我们也会在下周对共和党参选人 Robin Ficker 进行采访，希望很快也能见到民主党候选人 Mark Elric。那现在我们来向 Nancy 了解一下她的竞选纲领和她的执政理念。Hi Nancy.
Hi, thanks for having me.
It's so glad to have you here. Now Nancy, you are a familiar figure in Montgomery County political life. Okay, you were on the planning board since the
1986 to
1984, 2 terms. Then you were mayor of Garrett Park.
That's right.
And then you served 4 terms on the county council.
That's right.
A large member as a Democrat. Now, this past election, during the primary 2018, you supported candidate Rose Krosner as county executive. What made you change your mind to come out and run as an independent after the primary?
Well, as was evident, it was not my plan to run for county executive. I had thought about it last year, and people had come to me, and I had found a candidate that I thought would be a great county executive, Rose, but it was not to be. And at the night of the primary, when it became apparent that the choice in November was going to be Mr. Ficker and Mr. Elrich, I thought to myself, and people started coming to me, my phone ran off the hook. They said, Nancy, we need a balanced, sensible, pragmatic choice going forward. Mr. Ficker, he's been suspended from the practice of law twice. He's been disciplined by the Maryland Court of Appeals for the way he runs his law practice multiple times. And he's a gadfly. He's lost his last 10 elections. Mr. Elrich, there's a place for someone who wants to argue about everything and find ways to say no. But I've spent a lot of time with Mr. Elrich, and I do not think his point of view represents who we are as a county. We are an interesting, diverse county with very different residents countywide. Mr. Elrich is an ideologue. He represents a certain point of view. Now, there's value to that, but it's not reflective of who we are, a county of so many educated people, a county so diverse with different needs.
Okay. Now, to be able to run as an independent, you have to submit 7,000 signatures, petitions. But you submitted over 20,000 signatures. How long did it take you to do that? And why do you think people sign up to do that for you?
Well, clearly, that reflects a widespread view that people wanted a better choice for county executive. It was amazing. If you remember July, it rained all the time. It was very difficult, and we actually waited until the final recount. If Mr. Blair had won the election, as you will recall, he won by 77 votes. This was no mandate by any means from Mr. Elrich. And frankly, if any of the other candidates had won, I would not have run. But Mr. Elrich is too far, too extreme, not reflective of the county. So what we did was what was amazing, and I'm just so honored by it. People came out of the woodwork to help.
Okay.
We had about 25 days. We collected over 20,000 signatures, and we had over 400 volunteers, and we hadn't even asked them to help us collect signatures. It shows how many people really think this is an important race.
Okay, but you have been county council for 4 years. You have served for 4 terms, so 16 years.
That's right.
So what are the things you're most proud of that you have done?
Well, when I first ran, I really ran because I thought we needed to build the Intercounty Connector Road. It was very controversial, had been delayed for many years.
That's the
ICC. That's right, Route 200.
Right.
It had been on our master plan for many years. I really felt that needed to be constructed, and it was an issue back then. So I'm very proud we got that done, along with the Montrose Parkway. But other things that I'm really, really proud about is I've advanced economic development. We privatized it under my leadership. We have made it more nimble and creative. It's still not there in terms of how we attract more investment in the county, but and that's another priority of mine. I'm very proud of my work in affordable housing. I've led a number of initiatives to increase the supply. And one of my greatest moments, I think, was when I was county council president several years ago, and I did something we'd never done before. And that was to enter into an agreement with the Board of Education about how they were going to spend their money with respect to additional resources that they had requested. And so I feel really good about that because we really got the board to agree that we needed to work together in how we spent MCPS money and not ignore each other. The council and the county executive have no legal control over how MCPS spends its money, but we can talk.
Okay.
We can work together.
You touch upon 2 things I really like to follow up. You touch upon traffic. You talk about the ICC, and you also did Montrose Parkway. And what other projects or ways we can help alleviate this congestion problem in our traffic here in Montgomery County?
Well, I don't think we're ever going to get rid of it because our people like to drive and they need to move throughout the region. But I think we need to think differently. I certainly support what the governor is trying to do with respect to the Beltway in 270. We don't have the room to widen the Beltway, so we're going to need to be creative about that. We I think there's great opportunity to connect to the American Legion Bridge, and frankly, we need to add additional lanes going out to Washington County. Because that's really important. I think we should run bus rapid transit service up 270 all the way to Frederick City, and in the same way we should do that on Route 29 from Silver Spring up to Columbia. And to that end, I think we need to think regionally. I think we need a regional transportation authority. We need to get out of the box, be creative, be bold, and find new ways to move us around.
You think that 270 bus will help like our county and connect up county and down county area?
Well, I do think we can. It can be arranged in a way that will benefit our drivers certainly, and people who can take the bus to a discrete termination point. Certainly, there are a lot of people getting off a bus at the Shady Grove Metro who just as soon take a long distance bus from a farther distance perhaps down to Bethesda or the Grosvenor Station. There are options that we have sort of looked at periodically over time but have not fully resolved, and I think it's time to think differently.
Okay, all right, thank you. Now, education, as you mentioned, we do understand MCPS is under the governor's Board of Education, but it is half the county budget. So as county executive, what role, you talk about having more dialogue, what other things you think that you can influence our education system?
Well, I think we need to talk about the fairness in how funds are spent, how special programs are allocated throughout the county, how we reflect the needs of our different populations throughout Montgomery County, and I think that's a really important goal. I am very fond of our superintendent, Jack Smith.
Okay.
I hope you are. I think he is willing to take on new ideas, ways that we can reduce some of our spending in some areas and add in others. One thing I'm going to be doing that the county executive can do is propose over 6 years another $500 million going towards school construction.
Okay.
Because that is going to be...
School crowdedness is an issue.
That's a big issue, of course.
Right.
And I will be a #1 advocate in Annapolis with our delegation as the new Kerwin report comes out, and with its recommendations for the school funding formulas and also school construction money. That is going to be a big issue, and this county is going to need a leader who can go to the mat with whoever's governor to make sure that Montgomery County's needs are adequately funded.
Okay, yeah, that's Kerwin formula was delayed again and again and again, and let's see how that will go.
It's going to be political, I'm sure.
Right. Going together with the education question is, in 2018, this year, there were quite a number of high-profile school shootings. Everyone remember Portland, Florida. And even in our Maryland, we have school shooting happening in Oxon Hill and Lexington. And so this definitely is an area of concern for parents. As county executive, what will you do to ensure safety for students and also safety for all the residents in Montgomery County?
Well, there are a number of things. I think we can increase our the use of cameras and security officers throughout the county. We don't want to make our young people feel like they're in jail. We want to make them feel comfortable in dealing with the police officers, because it's usually through the young people that we hear things. That our police officers, that the school officials are alerted to problems.
Right.
Another element of all this is mental health.
Okay.
We have seen repeatedly situations of domestic violence and family violence that spill over into the school system, and that is a huge issue. Certainly what we're doing, while I'll be working with the chief of police and how we address our gang situation, which is out there.
Right.
It's a regional issue, and one we need to crack down on in a serious way.
Okay, understand. Okay, now,
excuse me.
One of the hot political issue now is immigration, both legal and illegal immigration. So what is your view in particular to the situation in our region?
Well, there's not that much that we can do about it. I don't think there's any advantage to us anointing ourselves as a sanctuary city. I think it will just bring more attention to us, rather than allowing us to use our residents as sounding boards, as resources for finding crime, for finding for being able to communicate about the situations that are occurring countywide. So I think that is an interesting challenge. Let me tell you my story.
Okay.
My father was an immigrant. Can I tell you my American dream story?
Oh, of course, we always love a good story.
My father came to this country when he was 17.
Okay.
His sister had come over earlier. She had become a maid for a wealthy family in Boston. My father knew no English. And when he arrived in this country at age 17, he did what immigrants do. He drove a cab. He was a chauffeur, I believe. He drove a dump truck.
Okay.
He went out west and picked cotton. He I think, pulled corn. He worked in different environments. He came back to where his sister lived, became an electrician. and lived a modest life. Had me.
Okay.
I had never gone to college, never got past 8th grade. But, you know, the American dream is for your kids, right?
Right.
So
Right.
I'm the one in my family who went to college. My mother hadn't been educated,
Okay.
neither my dad. I'm the one who went to college. I went to law school. I married my husband, also from law school. And forward a few years later, and my husband becomes a managing partner of a law firm here that's associated with one in Boston, Massachusetts, which is where my family's from. And so one day he comes home and says, "I'm going to go see the big boss," and he tells me the name of the big boss. Big boss is Archie Southbridge. I said, "That name sounds familiar."
Okay.
That was the family
Uh-huh.
that my aunt was the maid for her whole life until she was, I think, 90. So here I am, the child of an immigrant,
Right.
whose husband is now on par
Right.
with this really important person in the law firm in Boston.
Right.
And that just goes, that's been my experience. We want to create a world in which everyone can be successful, where opportunities present themselves and we encourage people to take advantage of it. So that's my little story.
Very touching story. Very touching
It's
story.
kind of amazing.
Right, right. So, so I also want to ask you, in our community, that we are very sensitive about data collection, given our history. I don't need to remind you of the Chinese Exclusion Act. You are a child of immigrant, and Japanese internment during the Second World War. And so we understand that when we go to school or when we seek health and human services, some data are collected. So I want to get your view on this segregated data collection, especially in terms of race.
I appreciate that that is a sensitive issue. And I'm certainly interested in working with your community for ways to address the sensitive nature of that and what it could be used for. I think that's really an interesting, it's a serious problem. I appreciate that. What we ordinarily want to do is to make sure that we are reaching as much of the community as we can. How do we measure success? How do we reach out to the vast majority of our residents, particularly the ones who are in need? Sometimes if we can document who we're helping, we can get additional money from either state or federal or private sources. And so the question is, how can we work together to enhance our services without making anyone feel that they are revealing information that they feel should not be shared? Certainly an approach of allowing people to opt out is one idea.
Opt out, that means say you don't need to fill out this section.
That's right.
You are not further answering the questions you don't want to answer.
And I frankly think that should be a given for folks. But remember, if that information can be used to help that particular community of interest, it's something to think about, how we can better ensure that all our residents are served. Not just the wealthy ones, but the ones who are in need.
Okay. All right. Now, Asian American accounts for about 14% of Montgomery County's residents, and it is one of the fastest growing population. When I came 14 years ago, I think is about 10%, and now it's at 14%. So what have you done for the Asian American community? And as a county executive, what do you plan on doing to service this community?
Well, I think one of the most important things a county executive can do is listen. And I intend to have the Asian American community represented on my transition team. What are we doing well? What do we need a better job of doing? I think certainly I have been honored to support a number of the Chinese Cultural Association's work in so many areas. Yesterday I was at their 10-year senior daycare celebration.
Is it CCACC?
Yeah.
Okay.
And there are so many good works provided by so many Asian American groups on behalf of different communities of interest. That is certainly something I've been proud to participate over the years as the Asian American Health Initiative, and reaching out to, and certainly the elderly program, the recreational programs that are being offered by the private sector in a way that, in partnership really with the county, because we're not the government is not always the best way of reaching folks. And it's really been an honor to watch these programs grow and really serve a community that otherwise feels excluded. That's really one of the reasons I'm running, because I think there are so many communities that feel excluded from the process because maybe of partisanship, because maybe they've been haven't been communicated with, and that's something I intend to change.
Thank you so much. As I understand, in our community, you mentioned a lot of nonprofits. A lot of our nonprofits are small, and they are very new, run by immigrants that maybe not fully understand how the system works. And I have heard from the communities that nonprofit grants, it's hard for small nonprofit to compete with well-established big nonprofits for grants. Do you have any? Did you ever hear anything like that, or do you think, as a county executive, this is an issue that needs to be addressed?
Well, one of the things that I think is really important is helping nonprofits thrive, helping them understand what resources are out there, how to best present themselves, how to provide a service that is not in competition with another similar service, how we establish collaboration between the nonprofit community. As you may know, there is a nonprofit village that is sort of an incubator for nonprofits, and I think we can do a better job of letting folks know about the training opportunities and the resources that are out there to assist nonprofits in becoming successful, so that they should not feel that they cannot compete. Not everyone can get funding from the government. But learning how to raise money from the private sector, learning how to submit a grant application, learning how to look for other resources, I think is a key opportunity for the government to collaborate with nonprofits and help them be successful.
Right. Thank you so much. Do you have anything else to add to our interview, to tell our audience about your campaign?
Well, I would say this. I am very excited about this campaign. As I've said, the enthusiasm has been so widespread. And what I see for us is a grand future. I see I will be a major champion for Montgomery County's growth, for private sector investment, for support for our small businesses and our larger businesses, because bringing ours all together is what's going to support our tax base and keep taxes down. So at the end of the day, that's going to be my #1 priority, because I think that best serves all of our communities of interest.
Thank you so much, Nancy.
Thank you.
各位观众感谢你收看我们今天的专访节目。我们下星期有人问问题，那我现在看一下，我们现场有观众在问问题。I got message from our audience, and they have questions.
Sure.
So 我看一下啊。I'm wondering. Somebody asked a question about the Harvard admission lawsuit. You heard about this?
Yeah.
Do you have a view on this issue?
I think it's got to be hard for people who feel excluded, for how these issues get addressed. One thing I want to do, I will tell you, and I didn't have a chance to mention it. I want to work with the University of Maryland to have a 4-year institution of learning here. I think that would be terrific for our business investment and for our businesses generally, and great for our kids to provide them with affordable options. I think the issue that people are most concerned about in this sort of litigation is being treated fairly, and that will be fair treatment of all our residents will be a hallmark of my campaign.
All right. Well, I have another question here from an audience saying that they heard you have a undefeated track record of campaign for all those offices you held. Is that so?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
I think Mr. Elrich ran 4 times before he lost 4 elections before he became a member of the county council. I've never lost an election.
Okay, all right. And then there is, we have a question about do you have any religious affiliation? Are you a Christian?
I'm a member, I grew up in a Christian community. At this point I've been a member of Cedar Lane Unitarian Universalist Church. Been a member of that for, gosh, over 30 years.
Okay.
So I've been privileged to be part of a religious community that is welcoming to everyone.
Okay, all right. And they have a follow-up question saying, it's related what we talk about immigration. It's wondering, with our current policy, if it continues, do you see it, we will attract more and more illegal immigrants in our area?
Oh gosh, I have no idea. You know, under state and federal law, we can't ask. So that's, local government has no authority to say no to anyone. And our approach to our residents is to support our community at large. I know there are challenges for families who have family members in other countries that they're unable to bring here because of the quota system, and I'm very sympathetic to that. At the end of the day, we in local government have no role to play in this, and regrettably, this battle is occurring at other levels of government.
Right. So Nancy, given you undefeated track record, so how you are banking on winning this campaign again?
Of course, yeah, of course. It's a great opportunity to take Montgomery County to a new level.
Right, and actually, we have another one say. I think we covered the other question, that how you would like to make Montgomery County wonderful. You talk about your economic.
I think we have not done enough to draw attention to our great resources. I think I'm going to be a champion that Montgomery County has not seen for investment in the right places to great jobs and great economic opportunity for all of us. We want our children to succeed, and we want to keep them here.
Right.
We want those great jobs.
Okay. So one more question. People say you served with Mr. Elrich 2 terms or how
3
much?
terms.
3 terms together at County Council. So you know him very well.
I do.
So how are you different from him in policies and on your views on issues? Can you give a few examples?
I know Mr. Elrich quite well. I've served with him for some time. And bless him, he's consistent. From his years as, you're too young to remember this, years as a member of the SDS and University of Maryland Students for Democratic Society. They were, part of the revolution of the 60s. From when he led the effort to eliminate the Pledge of Allegiance in the city of Tacoma Park when he was a council member there. If Mr. Elrich had had his way, we would never have had the redevelopment of downtown Silver Spring. He picked fights over that. We certainly wouldn't have had these roads the ICC at Montrose Parkway. He's still fighting against the ICC, and it's up and running and doing well. He would not have the deal that we have cut to enhance economic development, new jobs and housing in the eastern part of the county. Again, Mr. Elrich railed against that. We would not have the Fillmore in downtown Silver Spring, a really popular community event place, because if Mr. Elrich had had his way. Most recently, we would not have the new growth that we anticipate around White Flint in the northern area, or downtown Bethesda, with new affordable housing and really interesting high energy expectations for new buildings there, if Mr. Elrich had had his way. Mr. Elrich continues to argue about the past and has, frankly, has had no leadership opportunities, nor has he been able to achieve them. He's never been council president. I've been council president twice. I've chaired a council committee for the past 16 years. Mr. Elrich has only done that for the past several years. So you want someone with experience as a leader who's brought people together and actually got things done. That's me.
All right. Okay, now let me check. I heard my phone beep again. All right. We heard a little bit about your view on Mr. Elrich. What about your Republican opponent, Mr.
Well, as I said at the beginning, Mr. Ficker is a gadfly. He has lost the last 10 elections. He has been an embarrassment in Annapolis. He was there for one term. He has been suspended from the practice of law. I don't think people know that. As recently as last year, he was disciplined by the Maryland Court of Appeals for his inability to manage his law practice. That is not the kind of person who we want in a leadership position reflecting Montgomery County throughout the world.
Okay. Now, I am reading from the questions that our audience sent us. So, this is an interesting one.
Okay.
How much does a county executive make? You were in law practice before, so that probably is where this question comes from.
I think I have to check. I understand that Mr. Leggett is like number 66 on the line of officials in Montgomery County government. I believe he's paid around $170,000, $180,000 a year.
What do you mean he's on the line for?
Well,
so
I
he's
mean,
not the highest paid?
Oh, no, by no means.
Oh,
by no means.
All right.
That's what I mean in terms of the 66th person down the list of highest paid employees.
All
so
right.
it's not a huge amount of money given the fact that it's a 24/7 job.
Okay, I understood. Now, this question comes from the audience that says about the Amazon HQ2.
Yes.
And so Montgomery County is a contender in the process. And what will you do to enhance our attractiveness to?
Well, there's a package that's been submitted. I mean, and I think it's very exciting, isn't it?
Right.
That we made the top 20 list. That's like getting the gold seal of approval for Montgomery County. That is a tribute to the work we've done, I've done over the past years to make this into a great place. There is an incentive package. It's on the table. The governor has been a great player in all of this. And we'll see. We're told that a decision will be made by the end of the year. I certainly will work closely with Amazon to make sure that we can work together as we go forward as partners, if that comes to be.
If Amazon locates in Montgomery County, it will bring about 60,000 jobs. That's what it predicts.
Well, you know, the numbers fluctuate. The thing to remember, and the great thing about this, is that they will bring a lot of jobs bit by bit.
Okay.
So they're not all going to show up on January 1st.
Okay.
And what we believe is that we can accommodate a steady growth in the area that they select, subject to all the existing rules in terms of traffic and school construction and all that sort of thing. They will be held to the kinds of standards we expect of everyone. But if they come, we have a commitment from the state to help with a lot of the transportation needs that we have. We don't have that for other corporate entities who are looking at Montgomery County at this moment in time.
Right.
So that commitment, if Amazon were to come, it would be of great benefit to all Montgomery County residents.
Right.
We really need that transportation money from the state, and this would be terrific.
And then we probably need school construction money.
Well,
people will bring their family. People
will.
will have children.
And they're going to be well-paid people, and that's going to help both the people who arrive here and the people from here who are looking for those kinds of jobs.
You're looking at the tax base.
Yeah, not to mention the other industries that, you know, support that sort of thing.
Right, right.
So it's going to be a benefit for everyone.
Okay, now let's see. I got this audience would like to know you more on a personal level. You share your story of your father's story. You are a first generation born here in the United States. Can you talk a little bit about your immediate family now?
Sure. Well, we've lived in Montgomery County since 1980. My husband has been an attorney, but he writes books now. He writes books about really American history. He's working on a really important book about George Washington. I have 3 adult children and 2 beautiful grandchildren.
All right.
I'm a breast cancer survivor.
Okay.
I've been getting good reports ever since. It's been now, 7 years since my surgery.
Okay.
So I am blessed to be okay. And in my free time, when I have free time, I haven't had any free time recently, I'm a big cyclist.
Okay.
So
what's your favorite trail around here?
Oh, I love the Capitol Crescent Trail. It's all dug up right now, so we can't use it. Rock Creek.
Rock Creek. Okay.
Yes.
Do you do the whole thing?
You know, if you have a lot of time, you can bike all the way from northern Montgomery County all the way to Mount Vernon. That's a lot of time. But it's a great way to get some exercise and to see the area.
Yeah, this weather will be perfect. Okay. All right. So running for county executive, like as a county executive, is a full-time or more than full-time job. And how do you envision you spending your energy around the county?
Well, I think moving forward, you mean being county executive?
Yeah.
Moving forward, I'm going to spend a lot of time in the community listening to people. Meeting with all kinds of interest groups and just regular people, making sure that we're actually communicating with each other. And I understand what's on your mind, what's on everyone's mind as we move forward. I know from my community service, we can't make everyone happy. But we can help them appreciate what the challenges are, and we can talk.
Right.
And oftentimes, people are upset about something or worried about something that I feel we can help them with just by talking. You know, there's this craziness happening at the national level these days. These days, you wake up in the morning and you don't know what you're going to read in the newspaper, and things that we never expected could happen have been happening. And what I want our residents to know is they're going to have thoughtful, caring, and active leadership. And that's responsible and pragmatic moving forward. And how do I convey that? By spending time with them.
Now, our audience submitted a new question. Now, Montgomery County is a deep blue Democratic county, as you know. And then how this time you're running as independent. So you don't have the party machine behind you to run this campaign. So how are you approaching this campaign? How is this different from
Well,
before?
that's a good question. One thing I would say, and no offense to the Democratic Party by any means, I love the members of it, and I put them in an awkward position. But I think my campaign really resonates with a lot of folks. It resonates as a person who has served Montgomery County to a lot of the Democrats. It resonates with a lot of the independents. And it resonates with quite a few Republicans. People have not supported Mr. Ficker over the years. I think they're looking for a real, genuine alternative. Mr. Ficker cannot win. Mathematically, it is not possible for him. And consequently, I think people want a winner. And that's the opportunity that I provide them, to vote for a winner, a known winner, an experienced leader, and someone who will cut through all the arguments between parties and partisanship and move us forward. You know, I've been in public service for quite some time, and I will tell you, I have never checked someone's party affiliation before I serve them, before I listened to them, before I worked with them, before I tried to solve their problem. Maybe others have, but I never have. And last I looked, party affiliation has very little to do with how you feel about your school system, how you feel about getting your trash picked up on time, whether you're worried about traffic. Those are not issues that local government deals with. You know, in our municipal governments, there's no partisanship, none at all. You vote for the person. You vote for the policy. And what I'm proud about with this campaign is we're having a county executive general election where that is the focus. The person, the policy, the goals. What a great place we can be if we all pull together.
Okay, thank you, Nancy.
Thank you.
That's all the time we have today. 今天我们对Nancy Floreen 女士进行了采访，感谢观众们的热情的和激烈的反响。我们收到这么多的问题下个星期我们将采访共和党候选人 Robin Ficker， 请您注意收看。感谢大家我是主持人Julie 杨这里是 ACM 萌传媒。